Today's episode is brought to you by cattle. Every product launch faces a chicken and egg problem. You need reviews to convert, but you need conversions to get reviews. Cattle can help.
Cattle helps brands win share. They leverage their consumer panel for insights, collecting receipts, and driving product ratings and reviews. It is the largest daily active survey panel in Canada, with over 10,000 daily active users and over 100,000 monthly active users. Let cattle be your chicken and or your egg, depending on your perspective. Visit getcattle.com to learn more.
Because sometimes, as much as you think you know, there is always some very valuable advice that can be a maker or breaker, especially when you go fast.
Welcome to Hearts and Carts, the CPG podcast, the podcast about the people behind the products that are winning hearts and filling carts. This cast is for anyone with an interest in the world of consumer products. We're your hosts, Justin Osborne and Alex Hill, and our mission is to bring you weekly content that helps you be a better and more informed CPG professional. Good tidings, Hearts and Carts listeners. Thanks for joining us again. It's Alex here, and I am very pleased to tee things up for an interview that Justin did with a really exciting entrepreneur named Mokhtar Asmi. Mokhtar has a great deal of experience in the CPG industry and currently is the founder and CEO of Phoeapolis Organics, making super premium organic olive oil. So really excited to hear what Mokhtar has to share about his journey and his learnings. If you haven't already, please follow us on social media, either Instagram or LinkedIn. And a 5-star review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify goes a really long way to helping get the word out about this podcast. And don't hesitate to reach out. Touch base with us on LinkedIn and let us know what you're liking. Maybe if there's a question you wish we'd asked, we'd love to hear from you. Without further ado, let's jump into the conversation.
His greatest love.
Mokhtar, nice to see you. Look at that background.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, those are the 2 trees that I started my business out of.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's very cool then. I thought it was just a nice background, but no, it's got a nice meaning to it as well. I love that.
Thank you. It's my backyard in Tunisia.
Very, very cool. Awesome. I'm excited to have you on the show. We got the chance to connect quickly in person at CHFA, and I love your background, and I don't want to take anything away from it, but you worked in like big CPG, big companies and in high level roles before becoming an entrepreneur. And what we do at Hearts and Carts is really, we love talking to people in different areas of the CPG space. A lot of entrepreneurs, but a lot of people that were professionals in bigger companies for a long time. And you're a unique case where you're both. So it provides a cool journey here that I think is helpful for a lot of people.
Thank you. I'm extremely excited. This is a great opportunity for me, to go through some of, career path that I took, and, hopefully that will benefit the audience listening.
Yeah, I think so. So maybe we could just start with, you could give us a quick elevator pitch on what you're doing now and the brand that you're working on, and then we'll go back in time and we'll go back in your career journey and how you got there.
Okay, absolutely. Again, thank you for having me. So my name is Mokhtar Asmi, co-founder of Phoeapolis Organics. Phoeapolis Organics is an ultra-premium organic extra virgin olive oil that we import from Tunisia. For the audience, Tunisia is a major producer of olive oil globally, and it's the world largest producer of organic extra virgin olive oil. So historically, Tunisian olive oil has been imported to part of Europe, Italy, Spain in bulk, and unfortunately has been labeled as coming from Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The reason is very simple. Because they buy it's not a branded olive oil that has a high quality. Okay, like the quality is outstanding for Tunisia. It has some uniqueness that we can touch base on.
Yeah.
So high quality and less price. So what we try to do at Phoeapolis is to import it directly without going through that process of labeling in Europe, etc. I moved to North America myself and my wife 22 years ago to finish my graduate study. I moved to San Francisco where I finished my master's degrees, and it was very clear to me that unfortunately the quality on shelf for olive oil is not what I used to have. As a grown up in Tunisia, and olive oil has been a staple that is on the table every day. It's like maple syrup for Canadians.
Yes.
Is like the season similar to Canada. The maple syrup season when it comes, you can tell for us in Tunisia it's like a festival. November to January is the olive oil festival. So we're very familiar, and it was very obvious to us, me and my wife, that there is a gap in the category of the olive oil.
Yeah.
That is what I called 80% of the olive oil is what I call chemicals at a very low price. And there is some 20% that are decent olive oil, from different part of the world, but unfortunately sometimes at crazy price. So, sometimes you find a bottle at, $50 or $45. So what we try to achieve with Phoeapolis is to fill that gap of launching an ultra premium olive oil that is accessible to all Canadians. So that's in summary what we how it came along.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to dive more into that, but let's save that. Let's go back into early life, and you touched on it a little bit, right? You moved to San Francisco to finish your studies.
Yep.
What were you studying? What did you want to become? And then what did you do after? And like, what was your career journey? Because you've had some long stops in some amazing places. So would love to hear all about that.
Absolutely. So, coming from Tunisia, and I was the oldest of my family, education was paramount to my parents, right? I mean, coming from a developing country, education was the only hope to make a decent life. It's the comfort zone for everyone. It's the most secure career path. So, I had all the encouragement from my family to pursue an education. So my background is in accounting in Tunisia, and then I moved to San Francisco. I finished 2 master's degrees, one in business administration and one in finance, and I got the the chartered financial analyst as well, third level CFA. I worked at a private equity down in San Francisco, and then I moved here in Canada with my wife and my family. Where my wife Amira went to Wilfrid Laurier to also finish her MBA in marketing, and that has a link to what we do. And one day she came to me and she's taken an entrepreneurship class, and she said to me, Mokhtar, come up with a project that I need to do, because she's taken and she said, the project, the best project will be funded and will be supported. So we brainstormed and we decided to do the olive oil.
Interesting. Wow. So it was like
so there is a side of me and a side of her. So she is the one who really started, the market research at Laurier University like 12, 14 years ago, or
That's so cool. I love that. That's very interesting. My wife went to Wilfrid Laurier as well, but she didn't come up with any businesses. So now I got to give her a hard time about that.
That's okay. We never, honestly, we never planned it. It came like that. And, I said, Tunisia has a good olive oil. We were not satisfied, as I mentioned earlier. Why don't you, have a look and see if you can come up with, some interesting, insights, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, her research was an eye opener for both of us. It confirmed everything that we assume, kind of. Yeah. There is unfortunately a lot of bad stuff happening in the category. There is a lot of mixing, a lot of old olive oil, a lot of like to make it politically correct, a lot of shortcuts. Let's put it that way.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of shortcuts, and any shortcuts you do in olive oil, it will bring the quality down. And unfortunately, it's not easy to detect it. At Phoeapolis, we try not to do any of that shortcut. So after that, after finishing my graduate study, as I mentioned, we moved to Canada here. My wife, finished at Laurier, and then I worked when she was doing her MBA. I was a senior financial analyst at Bayer Pharmaceutical, where I was looking after the consumer packaged goods. The aspirin, the one a day, the Flints, like all those over-the-counter vitamins and analgesics. So that gave me a first kind of touch with the CPG industry in general. After that, I moved to Parmalat at the time, Italian company, a company that has 120 years of brand heritage. Brand like Black Diamond, Astro, Beatrice, very, very well recognized Canadian brands. Lactancia, the number one butter in the country. So I was looking after the fluid business from a finance perspective. And that gave me even a more in-depth understanding of how the CPG operates. I was overseeing the entire P&L from top to down. I was looking after the Metro P&L. You're looking at $120 million programs that I kind of go line by line, try to understand and try to see if there is any misses, try to see if Metro screw us up or something like that, if they overcharge us. And it really gives me a very good understanding of how the CPG industry operates, kind of. So I was very close to marketing, very close to sales. And then 5 years ago, Parmalat has been bought by the French group called Lactalis.
Yeah.
And Lactalis is the world largest dairy company. And I was had a slightly bigger role to oversee the fluid business. It's a very large division. It's an $800 million division. I was part of launching milk in the bottle in Canada. Never happened before. I was part of introducing the Galbani cheese as well. From a finance perspective, right? I mean, marketing and sales operate together, and I'm the number guy in these kind of projects,
Yeah.
So, after many years of work, Jason, I realized that I have an opportunity to launch olive oil.
Interesting. Yeah. What did you find? So I mean, that's a good background. If you're understanding the P&Ls on those businesses, that helps you a lot when you go launch a product. Because I feel like that's the number one thing that founders don't do well. It's understanding the P&L and the numbers. So you're in a great place there. What did you find the differences were between going from Bayer, which is pharmaceutical, you're working on consumer pharmaceuticals, over the counter, but then moving into true, what I would call rapid consumables? Was it a very different business model, very different culture? What were the main differences between the two?
It's pretty different. You would think from the surface that it's similar, but pharmaceutical, they have a very high margins, so they have a comfortable margin, right? In the food business, it's different. You gotta innovate all the time. You gotta be ahead of the curve all the time. It's a penny business, right?
Yeah.
Especially in milk is a tougher, I think, business. It's more volume, but margins are very, very slim. So I think it's two different, it's really two different categories. One doesn't mean that pharmaceutical is easier, because you need many years of R&D to launch a product.
Yeah.
But once you launch a product, you're looking at 40-50% margin, versus when you launch a food product, you're looking at 15-20% if you're lucky.
Yeah, very different. I could see that. And then
so it's very different. And the other thing, at least in my own experience, Parmalat is a very large in terms of volume compared to the consumer packaged goods at Bayer. So you're comparing $100 million division versus an 800. And also a difference in my own experience is that when I worked at Bayer, the manufacturing was in US. So it was like a sales center basically, versus here in with Parmalat, we have 14 plants. Where you need to, that gives it more complexity and more cost accounting and more analysis in terms of P&Ls. Versus at Bayer, you just need a number. Here's your costs. Use it and don't ask.
yeah. Here's the number. Yeah. No, that's interesting.
It's a global policy, right? Like
that's really interesting. And so you're progressing in your career. You're doing well. You're getting into new roles, climbing up the corporate ladder. Really successful career, and you think, screw it, I'm just going to throw it away and I'm going to start something. So to walk me through that process, right? You had the inspiration, I guess, years earlier while your wife was at school. So you've already been thinking about this. It's been percolating in the background. And what made you finally go, okay, I'm going to do this?
Jason, when I left Lactalis, I was really happy. Like I was just promoted.
Yeah.
And I still love my days there. I had a great time, I still have, great friends and great relationships. I never regretted a day, working at Lactalis or at Bayer. It's just that I noticed there is a gap. Like it was very obvious gap to me that, if someone will do this with, if someone will launch a product with these criteria that we developed and we understood without any shortcuts, he has a fair share to succeed. So that what really motivated me,
Yeah.
Plus, I, as you mentioned, I think I'm not, afraid of numbers or, like I launched product with Bayer. I launched product with Parmalat. I know what to expect. Like it's not like I'm just gonna out of the blue and, I know that year 1, year 2 will suck. I know that, I need to have a listing. So that helped me also encourage me to go ahead and do it, So with that being said, my wife also, she gave to our family great stability. She's a director in a government job. She encouraged me to do it. Like, maybe if it was just me, it will be too risky maybe, because I resigned a 6-figure job. Like, I was really comfortable progressing, 1 year after my promotion. So there is all of that together, like, and the other thing that really encouraged us was the results of a focus group. So when Amira was doing her project, so Laurier University provided her with a really knowledgeable focus group. So a food writer, a VP marketing, and a chef. And they kind of more than convinced us that the profile of the Tunisian olive oil can really be liked here in Canada. So we did a blind test where we brought like seven samples. One with a brand that is high price to average price, and all test. Our variety like ranked number 1, taste and everything, like freshness. So we thought, wow, this is like, we should do it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love the parallel that you like drew up at the beginning around like maple syrup, because that hit home for me of like a lot of times when you're maybe somewhere in the US and they only have, well, it's not called Aunt Jemima anymore, but they only have like the corn syrup. You're like, this is not. Like, I know that you're saying this is syrup, but this is not syrup, right?
No,
so that example I think is just fantastic, because so many people, that's where their brain is. It's like, that's actually what syrup is. And it's like, that is not what maple syrup is, right? So
no, it's not.
And so it's interesting to think that way, because it's absolutely true. And it's something that, I mean, transparently, I did listen to another podcast you're on and you talked about this, so I did know about this. But prior to hearing you talk about that, I had no clue. I always thought Italy, I guess. I always thought Italy maybe produced all the olive oil, and it always came from there. I had no idea that any of this was happening.
Every olive oil in the world, like there is 300 varieties of olive oil, and olives is a fruit, right?
Yeah.
and there's preferences. Like an apple, some people would like the red delicious, some people will like the Granny Smith, right? So there is that spectrum, and in addition to the high quality, we think we have the great variety. We think we have a variety that is likable by North American consumer. Like, I can go in details, but quality is number one. Plus, we think we have the right delicate taste that is enjoyable by many Canadians. And you're right. Like, Italy has great olive oil. Spain has great olive oil. Like, every country has great olive oil. So the problem is that, unfortunately, big corporation, they do shortcuts, for obvious reason, to make money, right? A simple way they do it. They will buy a lot when olives are cheap, and they will store it, and they will press it when price is up. So that in itself, it will diminish the quality because olive oil is not like wine. Olive oil, the fresher the better. Wine, the older the better. So we don't do that. Like, we handpicked, we press it the same year, and next year is the new harvest.
Interesting. So
that's one of the many things, Jason, that unfortunately big corporation do, to make more money, I guess.
Yeah. It's just, like, unfortunately, I think that's happening with a lot of our food, but that's a whole other podcast that we go into. But I think that's happening all over the place, which
absolutely.
is
I don't think that's unique to olive oil, as you said. It's unfortunately in all the food chain. Everywhere you talk to, food brands, they will tell you stories of some not good stuff happening, right?
Yeah. So you have the idea, you decide you're going to go for it, and then, like, what do you do? Like, how do you start? I mean, you've got your beautiful background. I guess that's part of it, but, like, how did you start to put this into action and actually get a finished product?
I can pass it on this podcast is an advice that we received from that focus group. So the VP marketing said to us, Mokhtar, you have a great product, but you got to test it at a small scale before you go to big scale. And that was our strategy at core. I started very, very small, bringing one pallet at a time, even less than that. I started 20 cases, okay, and bottling in my kitchen, Jason. Doing the bottling one store at a time. I knocked doors. I was doing that as a nighttime job. I was doing Phoeapolis for 3 years as a nighttime job. And only the last 3 years that I was fully dedicated to the business when I resigned. Okay. So during those first 3 years, we nailed down the supply chain. We started, we signed distribution. I listed myself, the product, in 50 stores, and it was working very well. We attended trade shows, and we signed our national first distributor in 2018. Okay. And then after that, we kept, getting stores every week, and 6 years after that, we are now at about 600 stores, and we're adding stores every week, and we are in the planogram of major chains. I won't announce it now, but, like, we can go from 600 to 2,000 in the next few months.
Amazing.
So. Yeah, that's how it started. My humble advice is that if you have a great idea, if you have a great product, test it at a low scale. Don't stretch yourself. Don't kill yourself. Don't get loans from day one. Don't make sure that it's working. Make sure it's selling, and then that's how I did it, Jason. Some people are faster than me, but that's my comfort zone within the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know what? Sometimes when you move fast, you make mistakes, right? So, they say in rowing, right? It's like slow is smooth, smooth is fast, right? So it's I think it's important to do that, and probably your background in finance also made you aware of, like, absolutely, I don't want to blow my brains out on listing fees and do all of these things, and, like, if it's not a proven concept, right? Like, because
absolutely,
you can get
6 years ago, if Loblaws comes to me, I will say no. I'm not gonna go there. Now, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but you have to be in the right spot.
So that's how you need to, look at it, right? I mean, 6 years ago, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm finalizing the label, I'm finalizing the logos, I'm finalizing, everything in between.
Yeah.
And now we're so proud that we are also building our factory in Tunisia, Jason, now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. That's a big thing for us. We are in the middle of, executing that right now, and hopefully we're going to launch from our own manufacturing facility this December.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. That's really exciting. That's like taking it to the next level. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the next level. Absolutely. We believe we have the volume. We believe we have the great partners to do it. We are now partner with one of the best broker in the country, with the Propel as our broker. We have one of the best distributor in John Luca. So we have a great team to take to the next level.
That's awesome. That's so good. If people want to find your products right now, I know I don't want you to say anything that's not confirmed and get you in trouble, but if they want to find your products right now, where should they go to look for them?
So it's in all major natural and organic stores. So we are in Whole Food coast to coast. We are in Healthy Planet in the east. We are in Choices Market. We are in IGAs in the west. We are in Nature's Fair. Most natural and organic stores that is near to you, like high chances you will find us there. We have a store locator in our website. So if you go to that store locator and you put your postal code, it will give you the closest store to you. Awesome. But we are now in most, I would say 90% of the natural and organic stores, and some chains as well, like that medium-sized chains, like the Calgary Co-op, like as I mentioned, IGA in Vancouver, Choices Market, and Healthy Planet here in the east, and
Yeah, a lot of those great regional accounts and the natural accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing. I think those are great places to build a brand, right? Because there's
absolutely
right consumer going in there, and then to your point, that gets you ready for the Loblaws of the world.
Absolutely.
As the next step. So that's
I think
awesome.
so. Like we build it one channel at a time. Mm-hmm. Like we started 15 stores, and then Ontario, and then all natural and organic stores. And then regional, and now we just presented to national accounts, and hopefully we get something.
Awesome. Oh, that's so good to hear. So what's again, don't want to get in trouble, no trade secrets, please. But what's next for the brand? I mean, it sounds really exciting. Obviously the manufacturing side, that's super exciting and happening now. It sounds like you're looking for some larger accounts. Like, any talks about expansion outside of Canada? Like any other new products? Like what's next for you guys?
Yeah, so our top priority right now is to have our own manufacturing. It has been difficult to have in one hand a full expansion, and on the other hand tied with a co-packer. Sometimes he doesn't go as fast as you want, or like there is always a mismatch at many levels, right?
Yes.
So I think that's our really top priority at this point. So I think once we nail down that, we believe we're gonna have some sort of a national marketing campaign in Canada. Once we have that, and hopefully sometime we're discussing that for 2024.
Awesome.
And as you mentioned, US, of course, is very tempting to any brand that is operating in North America. So that's something we are considering. I would say not in the immediate near future, but probably in maybe 2 years time frame. So yeah, it's very exciting time for us. Very challenging. Don't get me wrong. Like it's the speed is too fast. Sometimes you need to listen to mentors, listen to people who did it before you. Educate yourself, because sometimes as much as you think there is always some very valuable advice that can be a make or a break or something.
Yeah,
especially when you go fast, right? Like
yeah. it's like, yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's like important to surround yourself with people that have been through it before. And I love to use word mentors and things like that, because it's there. People tend to make the same mistakes over and over again. And if you just ask someone the question, they would probably save you 2 months of running around, right?
That's why I really, really, really appreciate your podcast and many other podcasts out there that are really providing very, very valuable substance information for emerging brands. And I encourage founders to to listen as much as possible.
Well, I support that message.
Yeah,
yeah.
No,
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, if it was for myself only, I will never be here today, achieving what I've achieved without the many support that I received from many people at many levels. So, and if someone thinks that he can do it on his own, or I think it's difficult.
Yeah. It's impossible. It's
impossible.
It takes and I think we've talked to a lot of founders and they've talked about it can be a very lonely journey too, right? So you have your wife, you have a bit of a partner because she's helping, but it can be a lonely path for a lot of people. So if you don't build some of those relationships, like that can be tough.
Very, I have a small mentor, kind of time tomorrow with Mike Feta, because I always go back to Mike. He's one of the best in the industry, one of the best friends that he's always available. So, I personally think, one of the advice that I want to always hear, what can go wrong in my stage today?
Yeah, that's good.
Here's my situation. I will describe it. What can go wrong so that I can not ignore it in the midst of this euphoria? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And one Fata's, I mean, he's been on the show. He's the perfect person because he has been through it. He's built the companies, now working on other companies. Absolutely. Like he knows his stuff.
Amazing human being. Yes.
Yeah. He's, I mean, in terms of mentors for what you're trying to do, that's about as good as you can get. So yeah, that's a perfect person to ask those questions to.
So that's, I think what we're planning, in the next few years, and again, like there is no written in stones. Everything, things can change overnight sometimes. We're open to investments as well. At the right time. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Well, it sounds like a lot of exciting things happening. I think the move from a co-packer into your own manufacturing is so exciting. You're at an inflection point in your business, going from natural and regional to national. A few years down the road, the US is enormous. So I mean, a lot of exciting things and good momentum on the brand. And I think just from even following you on LinkedIn, you've got people are loving the product and commenting and sharing, and so you're building a nice community too, which I think is so important. Much. So I think you've got tremendous momentum there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
One of the questions that we like to ask all of our guests is what we call our brand fan. So it's sort of picking their brain on what is a brand or product that you love. It can be something you use, something that you just like, whether you from a marketing standpoint. Like, what is a brand that you would want to give a shout out to?
Honestly, like there is few of them. I don't know how.
You can give a few. That's fine.
I don't want to make people not happy because I really have great brands that I love. You're putting me here, and
yeah, now you're gonna piss somebody off. But you can give a couple. You can give 2 or 3 if you want. It's fine. It doesn't have to be one.
So I will give I will give 2. Okay, 2 brands. Sure. Okay. So one of my favorite is pita chips at Cedar Valley.
Yeah.
I really, really like that brand. It's so fresh. It's a small batch, pita chips. The founders are amazing human beings, great story of a mom and a son. So I highly recommend that brand. And recently they just launched at Costco, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So shout out to that brand, Cedar Valley, working very, very hard. And the second brand, which I also really like, is Nuts for Cheese. For Margaret. Amazing.
Margaret's awesome. Yeah,
absolutely. It's an amazing innovative product. She made a breakthrough, I think, a great taste, a great brand, clean marketing, a brand that is in full momentum. So a shout out to that brand. So
Yeah.
I'll
both great choices, and I think maybe Nuts for Cheese was mentioned before, but I think those are both new ones as well. But fantastic brands, and both brands that are doing well, like similar to you, that are growing and expanding and building their community. So I think those are awesome examples.
And clean and very clean. Both of them are better. Amin is using a coconut oil, a small batch. I've been, I know them. Same for Nuts for Cheese, very clean ingredients. So it's all about, it's in kind of, within our mission and vision is to make, people's health better and give them more choices.
Yeah, which is amazing. Margaret's coming on the show in a couple of weeks, so it's a good segue into that one. But yeah, she's awesome.
Absolutely.
So last question for you. Again, something that we ask everyone, and you've given some fantastic advice throughout, but is what we call the career insider soapbox moment. Like if you're standing in front of yourself 7 years ago before you started, or maybe 8 years ago, or you were talking to somebody else that was planning to become a founder, like what advice would you give them? I know you've sprinkled some throughout our conversation, but if you had that audience, what would you tell them? The
number one point, I think, entrepreneurship is not an easy, you need to be ready that it won't be easy. Okay. Yeah. You got to prepare yourself for that. When I say that, not easy at many levels, not just hardworking, like your relationship with your family, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with everyone. So if you're not ready, like you got to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's number one. Number two is, which I mentioned, try to scale one step at a time, because that's my experience. It worked for me. Other people, they will go fast. It might work for them, but my humble advice, especially now when capital is very expensive, when inflation is crazy, we're not in an easy environment anymore. This is a new environment where inflation is crazy, ingredients are very expensive, capital extremely expensive, investors extremely careful where to put their money. So be ready for the challenge. Start small, and last but not least, don't lose sight of what you want to achieve. It's like, that's what drives us. Like, you need to find ways how to make your day positive. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I love that.
You need to make yourself happy, and nobody's gonna do it for you except you. Like if you don't find ways to make yourself positive, to make yourself, happy within all that storm of, challenges, then maybe it's not the right place for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's important, right? Not lose sight of that and stay positive, because otherwise it's already going to affect your relationships and stuff, to your point. But if you're also not positive, it's going to destroy your health. Yeah. So I think that's
sometimes, I'll be laughing at myself. I think many entrepreneurs relate to that. Like in the middle of a chaos, sometimes I say to myself, wow, how could I find ways to be positive within all of this?
Yeah.
Which is great for a human being, to be able to keep, and guess what? Because of that, brighter days are coming.
Yeah. That's a good mindset for life in general, right? Like not just entrepreneur. That's a fantastic mindset.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset, 100%.
Yeah, that's a fantastic mindset. I love that. I know, even like I've read things. I have a almost 4-year-old son, and every once in a while he drives you nuts, right? And then you realize, like, you think about it, and it's like, this time's going to pass by so quickly, and it makes you sad, but positive and appreciating what's happening right now. And it's like, yes, he doesn't, he's fighting you on this or testing your limits on this, but it's like, I look back at pictures of him 2 years ago, and I'm like, I feel like I'm going to cry.
Yeah. We always need to have that pause, and look at the big picture.
Yeah.
Because that helps us to keep, moving forward,
Yeah. I love that. Was fantastic advice. I think that was amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending the time with us here, talk about your business, talk about your life, your, the history behind this, and provide some advice for for founders and people listening, and myself. I love leaving a call when somebody's talking about positivity. That's a pretty good way to leave a call. So really appreciate the time, and a huge thank you to you.
Thanks a lot for having me. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Your podcast is extremely valuable. Heart and Carts is an amazing podcast. And again, thank you for having me today.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you soon. CHFA East maybe, or something like that. But
yes.
Would love to see you soon.
Same here. Hope to see you soon. Okay, take care.
Soon. Bye.